A key result from the GOP gaining control of the House is that Republicans now lead congressional committees. That's a big deal, a very big deal, because with that, they can do hearings, they can hold hearings, call in witnesses. Generally speaking, the media covers those hearings, but we've found in recent years that the media that seems to be all in for the left, legacy media, doesn't really cover them. But we will be. We'll be covering, and so will other conservative news outlets. And one of the first areas it's going to turn to is the border policies of the Biden administration that is leading to so many threats to American security, whether it's foreign nationals coming across the border that wish to do harm to this country, that are on the terrorist watch list, the human trafficking, the fentanyl. The list goes on. Well, we have a new sheriff in town, so to speak, a new chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Tennessee Congressman Mark Green, and he's here to tell us what's on the agenda. Chairman, welcome to Washington Watch, and congratulations.
Thank you, Tony. I really appreciate that. Kind words. Thank you.
And I will say I was thrilled to see you selected as chairman of the committee. Let's talk about what your top priorities will be.
Well, obviously, securing the border. That is the critical thing for us right now, is just getting security on our southern border. And then we have a fourth border. I call it the fourth border. It's our cyber border, and that's really important. We took a huge hit with the Colonial Pipeline, and then the SolarWinds hack cost between private sector and government $100 billion. That was Russia. So we've got a lot of work to do there. And then I think the next priority will be some restructuring and reauthorization of stuff over at DHS. That department hasn't been reauthorized in decades, and that's just really unacceptable. There are some efficiencies that need to be gained. We're wasting taxpayer dollars with the way it's organized right now. So those are the top three priorities.
Now, among the top 10 bills that the Republican House will be moving on, one of those is dealing with border security, the Border Safety and Security Act. When might we see action on that?
Well, it is still being drafted, and we want to make sure we do considerable due diligence on the bill. But it is the Texas version is what they call it, and that bill is the nuts and bolts of it are already together. I think Chip Roy and some of the folks, the Texas delegation, have those nuts and bolts out there for people to access. So it's real easy to find that. But putting it into legal language that'll change the code, that's what we're doing right now. And we're having to hire staff. Like the majority staff is about 45. We started with 17, so we're hiring really quickly. We've got 3 already on board. We're down to having to hire about 25 more people. That's going to take a little bit of time too, and organize. We got to do organizing committee to rules for the committee's operations. So there's some housekeeping stuff that has to be done, but we're already putting the language together for that bill. I don't want to quote you a time, but we're working very feverishly on it.
So Chairman Green, let me ask you this question, because the reality. The Republicans have one chamber, and it's a very slim majority. Although I will say I've been talking to many of your colleagues, and I think last week's exercise was very healthy, and there's probably more unity right now among the Republican conference than I've seen in a long time. So I'm very optimistic about what Republicans will do in the House. However, you got to go up against Democrats in the Senate, and then you have the president. So what is the strategy? How are you going to advance these issues given that landscape?
Well, obviously, a full comprehensive bill becomes harder to pass. So if but I think we try first. We get it off the floor of the House. If it sits idle in the Senate, then we'll start chipping away at pieces of it and just getting pieces of it done. The goal here is not to just be a lighthouse, shining light on the rocks. We want to get the ship safely into harbor, and if we have to do that a few meters at a time, we'll do it. But it would be lovely to get a full bill passed. The Senate takes it and runs with it. You and I know that's probably not going to happen. There's a lot of stuff in that Texas border plan that the left is just going to go apoplectic on, but that's okay. We certainly had our frustrations with some of the mess they, passed while we were in the minority. So we'll pass the big bill and then we'll chip away at it.
Now, as you hold your hearings, and I'm going to be talking with one of your colleagues, Pat Fallon, in just a moment, who has filed articles of impeachment against Secretary Mayorkas. You don't have impeachment power in your committee, but you do have subpoena power, and you can get information. Are you optimistic that as you dig into this, that the media is actually going to report it?
So I think they're going to have a hard time not reporting it when we put the material out there. It's some of this stuff, Tony, is just so disturbing. What's happening at the southern border, I can't see how they can't report it. It's just going to be it's going to be very disturbing. And we've got a 5-phase plan to hold Mayorkas accountable. As you said, my committee doesn't do the impeachment. What we'll do is we'll just gather the facts, and if Mayorkas hasn't resigned by the time we're done, we'll hand that stuff over to Jim Jordan and watch his guys go to town.
Now, we're up against a break, but you also mentioned the cyber attacks. That has a lot to do with China. Are you going to be looking closely at China?
Yeah, actually, the new China committee on competition with China is led by my dear friend, former Marine and a great American, Mike Gallagher. We had a conversation the other day about putting our subs together. So there's a cyber subcommittee on Homeland Security. He'll have a cyber subcommittee on China, and of course, energy and commerce. I mean, there's practically a cyber sub in every committee in the Congress. My idea is let's just put all those subcommittees in a room and talk about the issues. And you're right, 60% of the hacks come from China.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to dig into that and hold China accountable for that and for our IP theft.
Yeah. Chairman Mark Green, great to see you. Look forward to all that you're going to uncover in the days ahead.
Thanks, Tony. Have a great day.